So it was about a dozen years ago. I'm going to say somewhere around 2007. Living up on a mountain, back off the road, dirt road, in the woods. There was a covered deck in front of the dwelling. I, as usual, had gone to bed. Regular time, 10 o'clock or so. Nothing unusual about it. Summer night. I definitely remember it being a summer night. It wasn't a restless night. I went to sleep fairly easily, soundly. Don't remember any dreams. Of course, the experience that got me up later that night might have wiped the dreams out of my mind if I'd had any. Sometime after midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, I did not pay a lot of attention. I was woken up from a good sleep. There was a banging at my front door. No reason for anybody disturbing me in the middle of the night. No emergencies. I had a cell phone, of course, and there's just absolutely no reason. But it must have been something. Pounding sounded like an emergency. I got up. I grabbed my house coat. Went to the door. There was a storm door. I did not open it up. Opened the wooden door up. Outside the storm door was a big burly guy in blue collar clothes, like blue khaki pants, like a mechanic would wear, and a button-down shirt. I could tell the guy did blue collar work. I looked out in the driveway, which was a good quarter of a mile from the main road, dirt road, like I said, back in the woods. You could pass by my house, you'd never see it from the road. And there was a tow truck, a wrecker, in the driveway, and this guy was kind of huffing. Big guy. I would say muscular. I'm sure he had muscles, but he looked like he had drank a few beers in his life. He wanted to know where my red Mazda was, or a red Mazda was. He said he had come to repossess this Mazda. Very clear, Mazda, red. There was no doubt about what he was after. He told me. I'd never owned a Mazda in my life. There was no Mazda on the property. I shared with him that he clearly had made a mistake on the address he went to, that there was I'd never owned such a vehicle, and there was certainly not a vehicle like that on my property. And in fact, I hadn't gone in debt for a vehicle in a couple of decades. I paid cash for all the vehicles I owned. There was nobody to repossess a vehicle from me because I didn't owe anybody any money on a vehicle. He remained kind of persistent for a minute. I finally convinced him to leave, that he had made a mistake, and closed my door, turned off the porch light, went on back to bed. Shrugged it off. Hey, mistakes happen. Even the police go to the wrong address sometimes, right? So it wasn't that troubling to me. Went back to sleep. Sometime later, I don't know, it was just 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Wasn't a long time, but it was long enough for me to get back in the comfort zone. Another persistent pounding at my front door. Well, I got up agitated. This time I had my cell phone in my hand and Took it to the door with me, turned on the front light, opened the wooden door, left the storm door closed and secured. And this time there was 2 wreckers out front. 2 burly, blue-collar type, that type of guys you would see driving a wrecker in the middle of the night, insisting upon this red Mazda they had come to repossess. I tried to be calm, lay out the fact that I didn't have a Mazda, never owned a Mazda, certainly didn't have any debt for a vehicle, and they were pushy, and I told them, feel free, drive back by my property. If you find a Mazda, take it, because I don't have one. They didn't attempt to look around the property. They stood there. I grabbed my phone. I said, if you don't leave, I'm going to call the police, because you're clearly at the wrong place, and this is really disturbing me. I closed the door. I saw the lights leaving the property. Wasn't so easy to go back to sleep this time. Been disturbed twice in a short period of time, and couldn't quite figure that out as to why. So I laid there pretty much awake for quite a while. And then I don't know how long it was. Again, I wasn't in the middle of the night watching a clock. I wasn't keeping a diary of my experience in this night. It's just the time of night that I'm used to being asleep, and I'm not being able to sleep. But another pounding at the door, persistent, insistent pounding, banging at my front door. This time I'm just really not in a good mood at all. I get up, I got my cell phone in my hand, I halfway throw on my bathrobe and sling open the front door, and much to my surprise, there's several men in suits in the middle of the night. Plain, dark colored sedans in my driveway. Looked like 5 or 6 of them. My immediate thought was I didn't remember if I had called 911 before or not, and that was quite a healthy response to a call. If I had and just didn't remember, or maybe I'd punched it with my, some of us on our cell phones have 911 pre-programmed. If I'd punched it and just never, and thought I didn't complete the call, but did, and they sent out some police force. But it was kind of course, strange. Of course, at that time of day, night, my thoughts were not collecting very well, and with all the activities taking place. But I thought, okay, well, I felt comfortable at this point stepping outside, because I thought, well, these must be police. I must have dialed, and they didn't give me a response because I didn't put the cell phone to my ear. I stepped out, and right at the front edge of my porch, I'm standing right outside the front. Porch is about, 6 feet before the roof line ends, and I could see the sky, trees over here, and the sky over here. And I saw this oval shaped leading edge of something hovering, kind of slowly moving from behind my property to kind of the front of the property. I'm just catching this real quick. And I saw 2 helicopters. This craft was low, but so big that the helicopters looked like toys, a little tiny. And as I'm stunned by what I'm seeing in the air above my property that was so big, all I could see is the leading edge of it. Because the rest of it was over my house, and behind it, it looked like it would cover a football field, 10 acres of land, whatever. It was huge. By the time I'm even anywhere to digesting what I'm looking at, I'm thrown face down on my porch, on my deck. and I feel a knee holding me down. And the last thing I remember is feeling a prick right in the back of my neck. And that's the last thing I remember. I woke up. It was early in the morning, daylight, sun was coming up, and immediately I grabbed the back of my neck. I felt that prick. Still felt it right there. I can remember exactly what I shared with you. Nothing more. What happened afterwards, whatever. That's all I can tell you. None of these men identified themselves. No explanation was offered. As far as I know, I wasn't taken anywhere. I have no recollection of being taken anywhere. So I couldn't identify it as a abduction. Of course, I hadn't been through hypnosis. I understand that sometimes hypnosis will bring back some memories of something. But once that needle hit the back of my neck, it was no time at all to where my memory was gone. I don't remember that gap of time between then and waking up the next morning. Nothing since then, except for one interesting little fact. I cannot put this together. I've got no explanation. It really happened. But the next couple of days, I'm out on my riding mower. I knew the grass I mowed, the land intimately. I'm up at the front of the property, and there's a shiny object buried just where I barely saw it, up toward the front of the property. And it was the hub center off of a red Mazda. No explanation that I can give whatsoever. I just know that was exactly what took place. That's the way my memory's been. I've shared this story, not as publicly as I'm sharing it now, but I shared it. It wasn't something I kept totally secret. Didn't have a lot of people to share it with, but I wasn't private about it. I did an interview some years later with Stanton Friedman. If you're into UFOs, I did a 2-hour interview with him on a podcast I was hosting at the time. And I shared it with him. That's still archived on Blog Talk Radio, Abnormal Radio, in fact. And I really have no answers. No explanation whatsoever. But that is my Men in Black UFO story. And I can tell you no more, except that's what I remember. And I remember it very clearly from that moment to this moment, a dozen years ago. And people that I shared it with back then remember it's the exact same story I told back then. It's not made up. It was not a dream. It was, it was what it was.